the experts meet. Online learning, practical and sweet. Every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Time. YouTube, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. Online.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 200th episode of UroNurse. I'm your host, Vic Senese. Glad to have you on board. Hey, if you're watching this and you're on YouTube, like and subscribe, or any other channels, like and subscribe. We'd love to have you on board. And if you're watching live, feel free to put something in the comments. If you want to just say hi, thanks, let me know where you're coming from. Glad to see what's going on with you in your life. Hey, I'm going to bring in my special guest today joining the show. We have Dr. Jeff Albo and Lori Atkinson. And these are a big part of UroNurse and what's been going on with the show. Lori, you and I have been together from the start.
From the first episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been great.
I kind of pitched this originally to the group from our Chicago Metro chapter, thinking, hey, we should do something like this. And all three of us are from Chicago Metro. We ought to get together and start doing live broadcast. We just got out of COVID. I had bought the equipment. I thought, yeah, why not? Let's try it. I said, if we can get 20 viewers, that would be great. Yeah, we did a little better than that.
You think? I mean, it's incredible. And I mean, what a brilliant idea, though, because it's like people are looking for things they can just go on, look at their own convenience, learn about these different urology topics. It's such a great idea. And I just commend you for putting it together and doing 200 episodes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we don't see behind the scenes and how much work is put into this for you.
So a little bit. It's a good thing I'm retired. That's all I can say.
Definitely. Hey, it's a lot.
It is. Just to kind of show people, this is what started out with just UroNurse, but it became UroNurse, Uro Patient, Dr. Jeff's Sex Talk, Streaming Bootcamp, and UroNurse News. So I now have 5 different podcasts that I put on, and only streaming is once a month. Everything else is every week, and the news is 5 days a week. So it's really been kind of a lot of programming, but hey, it's fun, right? And yeah, I counted it up. It comes out to 636 episodes that I put out so far.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
That is crazy, Vic. Now, so I know with Dr. Jeff, because I do the programming on there, people don't always understand what happens behind the scene trying to get all that programming lined up. Some of it falls in place really easily, but some of it you're like, okay, you have to do a little hand holding with some of these guests. Sometimes they back out at the very last minute, or they just don't show up. I mean, things do happen. It's got its challenges.
Yeah, we've had that a few times. And sometimes it's just good because, it's nice to have more than myself with Lori as a co-host on UroNurse most of the time, because you're trying to think of a question and Lori will come up with something. So it's always good to have that fill in.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I know when Susan joins me on mine, or you join me on my show as well, it's always a good time to have somebody else there thinking of other things that might be of interest to our listeners. Definitely.
So, Lori, have you had anything interesting happen since you've been online? And did anybody notice that you're a social influencer now, or?
I'm not as popular as you, Vic, but it's interesting, all of your speakers and how, I start getting emails about their products, and it's kind of helped us in our office as well, because we're receiving products that you've had on your presentations, and a lot of them work, and it's fantastic to learn about that. So they've been great. So it's nice to have contacts.
Absolutely. And as Jeff knows, with his show, I've had more, some haters that'll sometimes come on. I guess maybe this discussion about sex might do it, but I've had crazy things, like somebody made notice that I had nose hair. So I'm always looking to make sure I trim my nose hair before I get on. I'm like, you can't have thin skin on this show.
Vic, I've never seen that, so I would let you know.
That's so interesting,
can I
though, what
say?
people notice and how things happen. But it is strange because we always watch the comments and want to know, well, what are people saying? What are they doing? But you're going to have people who come on there and are saying inappropriate things. So we just kind of ignore those things. But you do have to have a thick skin somewhat. But what's really cool is when somebody turns around and you get a comment from a listener where they're like, I have a friend who said, gosh, I really feel like your show has had a huge impact on my marriage. And you're just like, wow, that's why we do the show. That's really cool. So we love when those comments come through. And
Actually, I think I'll bring up this slide because sometimes you wonder, why do I do this? But I think, Jeff, you just tied it in perfectly. You get those feedbacks from people out there that we're making a difference. And you could never make that kind of a difference in your own office, the volume that we have.
Definitely. And you just don't realize because you're doing it. When I went to the sexual medicine society you were talking about, because you don't really, I think, well, is anybody really watching? And we know people are watching because we see viewers, but does it really matter? And this nurse came up to me. She goes, oh my God, are you Dr. Jeff? I was like, yeah. And she's like, I watch every episode. I was just like, that's awesome. I'm so glad that she's like, I recommend it to my patients and stuff. So just when it's really nice because there's that encouragement that sometimes the right people really are getting to see these episodes, which is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a little list here, just some of the comments that people come in with, after, I always look at the comments on YouTube and answer as many as I can, but a lot of them are just how much I appreciate what you explain. I didn't know how to do that. And it's just, I think, fantastic that we're able to do what we've done in our practice all along, but make it in a bigger way to get it out to people.
So Vic, what if you said you've had 200 episodes of this? You have 5 different shows now. What has surprised you the most while you were working on this? What are some of the things that have really surprised you as you've been working through all these episodes and creating all this great content?
That people actually wanted to watch it. That was the biggest thing. I mean, you kind of do it and you hope that people are actually watching, but they actually do. So actually, I think I'm going to go use that as a segue and talk a little bit about social media, because that's one of the biggest surprises to me. I had a Facebook account that I used it to look at the grandkids, the pictures that you get from families, but I'm not really what you'd call a social influencer. But now I've learned how to become more of a social influencer, and I'll brief you on what's going on.
We are everywhere you visit social media. With over 400,000 impressions on LinkedIn, including a SUNA Spotlight for Nurses Week. We have 500,000 views on Facebook, and Twitter, or X as they now call it, is no slouch. You can even listen to us on the road with Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcast. But our #1 podcast is YouTube. With over 2.4 million views, we bring UroNurse into your home. Watched in over 90 countries worldwide, making us the global voice of urologic nursing. Thank you for supporting UroNurse.
To me, that's just crazy.
Wow.
I just turned over 2.4 million views.
That's amazing.
When I was setting it up, I thought we'll probably hit it. And I looked at it last night. It was like so close. And then I looked this morning and we were at the 2.4 million.
Congrats. That's great.
Gosh, Vic, that is so impressive. You think of all the people who are learning. It's such a cool thing, and what a brilliant thing to have all this educational information out there. It's just awesome. So, who would you say was like some of your most memorable guests that really stick out for you? Because you've had so many experts on your show.
Yeah, what really been the #1 thing is the international folks that I've had. Her name is Majid Maid, and she's from Egypt, and she's doing, pelvic floor therapy and has her own practice out there. And, it's just funny how it differs from what we're used to in American medicine to what's going on in the rest of the world. And I don't know that as a practicing nurse in America, I knew how they practice outside of America. That's really been one of the things most interesting. You know, a lot of the patients they see is all cash. They don't have insurance, doesn't exist. It's cash paying, but it doesn't cost them hundreds of dollars to come in and see somebody. It's, you know, under $100 to come in. So it's more affordable. So
Wow.
other options, other worlds.
Isn't that crazy?
How about you, Lori? Anything that you comes to your thought of mind about crazy guests we've had?
Oh man, there's been so many. I can't even think of. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, some of the fun talks we've had afterwards and so forth. And it's fun to see like all the viewers that are dedicated live every Saturday. Like there's like Charlene and
like a
Diane
fan
and
club.
Katie, and and it's just amazing that their dedication is so important and you know, but as far as the shows, I like them all. I mean, I've learned so much. I thought I knew it all in urology, but I didn't. And so, yeah, no, they've been all amazing.
Yeah, I think about, I mean, just simple things like what we get asked about every day, like long-term pain after vasectomy. You did an episode on that, and just so many different things. And the experts just, you learn from each of them something different, something new. There's just, you know, the varicocele treatment guides, and, you know, some of the AUA vasectomy guideline updates. And, you know, you look at the different things that really help nurses and people understand. UroPatient, of course, is directly for patients, but, you know, everybody's watching these different episodes, whether it's UroNurse or UroPatient, learning lots of good topics and excellent speakers. I really we both had Landon Troust on quite a bit. He's such a good speaker and has invented a couple things. That's the other thing that's kind of cool. You know, you learn, you've also had some episodes on new devices, new technology and stuff that people might not have known about.
Yeah. You know, what surprised me from your show is how many people watch the centering exercises. So I have a counter. I can see how many people are watching live, and I always see your number towards the end of the show start going up, and it's people joining for the centering. And I make shorts out of all the different centering exercises. Those always are big numbers. So people are learning how to center themselves. I guess we need to center ourselves more. Now, here's the most surprising thing that, you know, I think is an outcome from being on the show is sometimes you get like even job offers that you would never expect. So I just got a job offer from the FBI to be a special agent on the healthcare force. Serious?
Wow.
Are you kidding, Vic? You really seriously?
Yeah, I'm serious. Starting salary, they offered me $130,000 to start.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Well, you take it?
You know, if I was maybe 10 years younger.
Tell them about me.
Oh, that is crazy.
So, you know, the show does have its surprises in your life.
That is great.
Oh
and it's funny, it just came, I think it was like a couple weeks ago. I was showing to my wife. I said, do you see this? I just got an email from the FBI. They want me to consider, you know, apply for the position. And, and as I said, you know, it was working in the healthcare division. I don't know, maybe working for fraud or something. But.
So it had nothing to do with urology, I take it.
Well, healthcare. So I don't know. They sought me out. What can I say? I guess the FBI is watching me. I should be careful. But that's what comes from being out on social media. People know who you are and what you are, and it's pretty impressive. Great. So speaking of experts, you know, be having, you know, you guys on, but this is the list of all the experts that have kind of joined from around the world. You can see it's a pretty big list. If your name's not there and you spoke, it's because I forgot.
Gosh,
you can see it's a pretty big list of folks out there that have been presenting, and it's all works. We've had, you know, doctors of physical therapy, we've had MDs, we've had NPs, we've had PhDs, we've had special people who specialize in nursing, like Lori and I, in urology. It's just been a nice mix. We've actually had, I was really surprised. Talk about an episode. I did an episode on periuresis because somewhere I get a patient had put a comment about how they had trouble. They had a work thing where they had to void for it and they were having trouble going to the toilet. And they said they think that's a medical problem, right? And I said, well, absolutely. I'll do an episode on periuresis. So I did. About a week after the episode came out, I got contacted by the head of the Periuresis Association. I didn't even know it existed.
Wow.
So there was an organization. He came on the show and did a show with me then, kind of talking about it. And actually, in this coming month, in June, I'm going to be on their podcast. They've invited me to do a podcast with them. So even people get it. We get invited sometimes to be on people's podcasts now. I've been on Diane Newman's been on my show. I've been on her show. I think you've been on her show too, Jeff, right?
Yeah, I was on there's a doctor radio show that because like you said, we're doing these and then they're like, well, come on my show. I need you to, whatever. So it does happen. There's no doubt about it. I've been on Diane's show several times. And but yeah, I think there's a lot of cross-pollination of education. It's really important, both patient and provider education. So yeah, and I was thinking about too, like even all the people out there with kidney stones, and you did an episode on kidney stones explained, and it's just things that people are looking for information on, both providers and patients. So that was what was funny. Tell the listeners how Uro Patient kind of grew out of UroNurse.
Oh yeah. So I started watching the comments, of course, that come in, and I could realize that these were not comments from a healthcare professional. These were patients that were asking questions, and they were really the nuts and bolts of what people really need to know, and they're probably not getting anymore. And so I started thinking, well, maybe I should take and move it down to something that's more understandable for patients and talk about the nuts and bolts type articles. So my number one out of everything that I've ever put out on social media is how to take care of a catheter bag.
So cool.
It's the basics, stuff that, Lori, you and I and Jeff have taught patients for years. And you'd think that people are getting this education. They're not.
No.
Wow.
So my brother recently had to have prostate surgery, and they did an open simple prostatectomy due to his big prostate. And he lives in Florida, and I said, tell me when it is. I'll come out to take care of you afterwards. So I got to witness personally, and the doc was great. Their nurse practitioner was great, but they didn't tell him anything about what to do with the bag. Now, fortunately, I was there. And all my little secrets, I said, first thing we're doing is taping that tube to your leg. I said, every time you walk, it's going to pull. You're going to feel it. It's going to drive you crazy. So those helpful hints, I think those are big to be able to give patients.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty cool.
Lord, do you have any stories that you've shared with us in the past or interesting patient?
Oh, gosh. I'm sure there's been so many, and I can't think of any right now.
My favorite story was a vasectomy story where we never had patients bring their wife back to, like be with them during the procedure, just because then you got two people to worry about. So this lady said, he's got anxiety. I have to calm my husband down. He'll get too anxious. He won't be able to get it done. Finally, the doc and I said, oh, okay, fine. You can come in. So I'm getting the guy prepped, and I go through my same routine, and you probably all do this. It's like almost, you just kind of put it out without even thinking about it. I said, okay, I need you to drop your drawers, climb up on the table. And the minute I said, drop your drawers, the wife drops her pants. I'm like, no, ma'am, I meant your husband.
Oh, gosh.
She was so nervous. She just kind of followed whatever I said.
Oh, gosh.
Great.
It's so crazy sometimes. And even education, you think they're understanding what you're saying, and then you have to do like that teach back thing where they say it back to you, and you're like, yeah, that's not what we're trying to teach you. So
just like when we ask for a specimen, and we had a a patient come in and we'd asked him to give a specimen. Well, sometimes you have to be specific about that because it wasn't the urine specimen that we wanted. It was a different type of specimen.
Yep. Always got to
Definitely.
worry. I do have a comment that came in from Charlene Vollmer. We talk about fans. I think Charlene's been watching the show since the start. I remember the first series after we stayed on the chat. Oh, yeah, I used to do an after show, and someone got tips on buying a new car. Absolutely. And I remember she's from Washington, Seattle, I think right around Seattle. Dr. John Lynn and Amanda's strong help with Lori and others. Euro patients also been helpful. And yes, the new devices, helpful tips. Vic, having UroNurse when I first started in urology would have been great, but now we can share with our own new healthcare workers the basics through UroNurse episodes. So yeah, thanks, Charlene, for the great input on that. So. Yeah. Now, here's one of the craziest things. Now, Jeff and I always get on, and Lori, you kind of get on towards the very start of the show, but Jeff and I get on about a half hour before with his guest. And a lot of them are really impressed with my studio. Kind of blow it up here for you. They're like, wow, you really have a great studio. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Well, I thought I'd share the truth behind my studio. So there's my studio. Well, maybe it looks a little different. There's my real studio. Which is still pretty impressive, but
I'm pretty sure you have a pretty good view out those windows, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I had to pull it down because it's the lake. I'm looking at the lake, and a lot of times the sun will be hitting the lake just right. It's just like right in my eyes. So
that's so funny. But it's still a great studio, Vic. But I have the same thing. Remember, like mine's in the evening, so my window is right over here, is next to me. And then remember how all of a sudden the light will come in and it's like, oh, It
was like a moment of faith. He's beaming off of him.
I suddenly look like an angel or something because the light is just hitting directly on me. And then sometimes it goes dark and it's like it starts getting dark because I have my lighting. But the thing is like you said, the natural lighting is changing the whole time. And I've learned just pull the drape completely down and don't let it affect anything. And then two, this is the thing about live stuff. You can maybe hear a little of the mower in the background, but I have to close all my doors because I live right in the middle of downtown Chicago. And so it gets very noisy in here sometimes when we're doing things. But and then some funny things happen. We've had some guests on that their kids burst into the room and were on the show. So anything can happen when you're live. So
yeah, usually my black cat will be sitting right back there.
Yeah.
My cat sometimes joins the show.
Yeah, we've had a few cats walk by the screen throughout different programs.
It's so funny.
But the kids was funny because it was, of course, we're talking about, vaginas and penises and all this stuff. And the guy was so cool. He said, "Oh, don't worry. The kids hear this all the time. My wife's an obstetrician. I'm a urologist."
That was absolutely true. We laugh because people are like, some of our guests get really nervous in there, and we're like, "Look, it's all good. We make it work. Whatever happens, don't worry." It's a lot of fun.
We have had some really great guests on, and look forward to having more guests on. And hey, if you're out there and you want to be on the show, just go to the website. You can click on, and there's a little contact me and just say, I want to be on the show. That's all it takes.
You have a really nice base audience that listens live. I know Charlene is such a faithful listener from Springfield. We appreciate her. And then Katie, a lot of people that listen. You have quite a good live listener for UroNurse in particular. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I found that for the shows, I usually have between all the different social medias, there's probably at least 20, sometimes up to 50 viewers during the live show that are watching. And then I look at what the viewership or the post show, people watch. And that's when most of them are watching on demand. And most of these shows within a week are getting numbers up into the 5,000 views just in that first week. So
one of the docs one of the docs was like, well, I've never been on social media. I've never done a podcast. And he's like, do people watch it and stuff? And I said, well, you know what? I sent him something. I said, by the next day, I'm like, well, 2,000 people have seen your face somewhere on from the clips, and that's just in a day. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And really, I know you too, Vic. I don't really care so much that we have big numbers like that. What I love is when the right person sees it, the person who really needed that information that day, and
Yeah.
they're the person who gets to see it. That's probably the most important thing, that people find what they're looking for, the good science-based information that you provide.
Yeah. And, and all of us, I've had 40 plus years in urology. Jeff, you probably are pretty close to that. Lori, not quite so close, but
No,
not too
I'm a
far.
baby at over 25.
I know. But I did an episode about a tip that I used to teach patients with the catheters. Every now and then a blood clot can actually block them. And then they get blocked there. It's a trip to the emergency room. Well, I showed them how you can actually pinch off the tubing, and the little part where it connects to the bag is enough that you can squeeze it. I remember having an outboard engine, you had to always prime it. So that priming bulb. So I said, just squeeze it. It'll actually force a little bit of urine up, and probably enough to unblock the catheter. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it can save you a trip to the emergency room. Well, I had a patient write in about her child who had a catheter, had this thing happen, tried it, it worked. And what can I say? She just put how grateful she was that I do this type of education. She didn't know what to do. She saw my show and it worked. So,
Well, you helped us out a lot, Vic. When you talked about people who have bladder spasms while you're giving, you give them bladder cancer treatments or what have you, and you hang the bag and then they can spasm and it kind of goes up. And I think that was brilliant. And we use that in our office.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what experience does. You just kind of learn things. You think about it and you're like, maybe if I tried this, it might work. And she's referring to BCG. When you give it, you need to keep it in the bladder for 2 hours. What do you do if a patient has bladder spasms? Mm-hmm. So I decided, well, I'll just keep the tubing and the bottle that it's hooked up to the Foley catheter and just leave it there. So every time he had a spasm, it would just go back up into the bottle. When the spasm went away, it went back into his bladder. Like you said, sometimes what do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention, right?
But you think some of this information, and that's when it's really cool when you get those messages from people that it's life-changing for them to get this information. So,
and it's really, really, like I said, why we do this. It's we're not doing it for the money. Nobody gets paid on this show.
That's for sure. And we do spend, I know behind the scenes, Vic, how hard you work, because now that I do you do a lot of the work too, but that I do.
Actually, I'm going to share that with you, exactly how much it costs to put on the show.
Website, streaming, internet, subscriptions. Yikes.
Yeah, I'm not shy to say it does cost a few dollars to put on a show, and as you get more successful, then the streaming companies say, "Hey, you're pretty busy. I noticed. We need to charge you more." So it's like the price of success.
Well, you can just work part-time at the FBI and then.
Yeah, I know. Right? It's got to get another job.
And that doesn't even account for the time, because, I know the hours that you spend on all this, because, with programming and all the different things, it's a labor of love. And as you said, no one's getting paid. That's for sure.
Well, I would like to thank all the sponsors who do actually cover the cost of the show. And I had their little blurb up there, but here's a couple of them who decided to send me something about the show.
Congratulations to the UroNurse team from all of us at Convatec Continence Care. Convatec's partnership with UroNurse is something we are incredibly proud of and reflects a shared commitment to improving patient outcomes and advancing urology education. Your dedication to delivering timely, valuable education makes a meaningful impact for clinicians and patients alike. Congratulations on an incredible 200 episodes, and we look forward to continued collaboration and many more milestones ahead.
Hi, this is Gloria Kolb with Elida, maker of Velatone, and I just want to say congratulations to UroNurse and Vic for an impressive feat, getting to 200 episodes. What you do is so important, and we just thank you and congratulations. Thank you.
So yeah, that was nice to have a couple of my sponsors send in a little thank you for being on the show, and my big thanks to them for sponsoring it, because we're like, as Jeff said, it's a labor of love. We don't really care to about the fact that we're not making any money. I don't need to do it for the money, but I do it because I just really find that I would miss that interaction with patients.
But we're competing with the FBI on salary now, Vic, because that was an impressive salary. So it's like, maybe you need to think about.
I just wanted to carry the gun. That's all.
For sure.
Being a secret agent. Yeah. So, I kind of started out, we had our 1-year anniversary and we were celebrating that. And then I figured, well, every year that's probably a little bit much. So then the next time we celebrated was at 100 episodes. And it seems like that just went by like nothing.
Yeah.
So then this is 200 episodes. I kind of think the 100 episodes are always good mile markers of things to kind of celebrate. I also reflect back and say, maybe there's things about the show that you'd want to change. And one of the things that I'm looking at in UroNurse pretty strongly in changing is we marked the format as being an hour long when we first came up with it. And I think that when we were talking with the SUNA group, we always looked at how long our typical talks are. You go to a lecture and it's an hour. So we thought, that would probably be the right thing. I think for social media, an hour is a little on the long side. So I've been trying to push more to be around the half-hour zone. And that one I kind of equate to number one. Now that I've gotten more popular, YouTube actually invited me into what they call their collaborators group. So I get to attend special courses on how to do what you do better. And it's kind of interesting, but the agreement is 30 minutes is the real key point where you should be. They said that's where you'll start losing people after 30 minutes. And I think it goes back to, like the day I grew up as a kid, all the shows were 30-minute episodes. Batman was a 30-minute episode. Man from Uncle, 30-minute episode. They were all 30-minute episodes. So the 30 minutes probably makes a lot of sense. And most people on YouTube watch these things on their TVs now. So full screens. It's two type of viewers. One that are watching it on a television, and the others that are watching it in a mobile device. These shows go out in both formats, so people can pick whatever they want. So that's another change I made by putting it out in both formats. But yeah, those are some changes. But you know what? Sometimes
the streaming that you do, because a lot of people just like to listen as they're working out or they're on a road trip or something.
Yeah, the audio. You're right.
Yeah, because that's
the audio. The audio has it surprised me. I just did it because somebody wrote in and said, "Hey, do you guys have an audio version? Because I'd like to listen to it in my car." I thought, I listen to podcasts in my car all the time. I should. So I added it in. You're right. It has become very popular. So I did want to make one other change, and I'm going to see if this works. So hang in with me. Here is the latest change that's coming out to UroNurse. Well, I wasn't fast enough, but I did manage to change the background for the new backdrop for UroNurse.
Wow. Very nice.
I was trying to change my shirt, but I wasn't fast enough. 30 seconds is a pretty quick change, but yeah, I decided to update the logo. This logo, some 4 years ago, I brainstormed and there was no AI to help me out with it. I just kind of came up with an idea that, the Foley catheter made a lot of sense for urology. So that's why I decided to go with the Foley catheter. And I hand drew it. I have no skill whatsoever at drawing, but fortunately, my computer had a program that could turn my shaggy looking circle into an ellipse. And I did that and just kind of came up with it. Thought it was pretty cool at the time, but I thought, I can do all this AI constantly. I ought to look at trying to update the logo, make it a little bit more modern. So there's the new logo.
Very nice. I like to, Vic. I think one of the funnest things that you do, well, first off, that you created our the theme songs for the shows. I thought was really cool. And I know we have, I think, 2 different ones for coming in and out. There's different ones, and but I get the biggest kick out of sometimes the videos, the tickler videos that you make, especially you can imagine for Dr. Jeff Talks About Sex. Sometimes they're just crazy, but they're really good. So I love
yours are the most fun to work with because of the subject material.
Yeah.
But they're just really good, and I love how you're using both sides of the brain. All the scientific stuff, but you're doing all this really creative, cool stuff on all your podcasts, and it's really fun. So,
well, I couldn't do it without great hosts like Lori and you, Jeff, because it's been a pleasure to not always have to be hosting it. Your show, I get this kind of be behind the scenes, just doing stuff. And what people don't realize is, for us, the view that we look at, we can actually see everybody behind the scenes too. They call it the green room. And so when I'm playing those clips for the next week's show, I can see Jeff's reaction. That's priceless. Some of those, I'm like, I know I'm like this close to being over the edge, but
totally. It's like last week's, there was some image that I was like, oh my God, it's like, I got to get that image out of my head. I can't unthink that.
Oh gosh.
So it's all great. And hey, here's one of the new promos for next week's show.
Complicated urinary tract infections represent an important and growing challenge in clinical practice, affecting individual patients' health and quality of life while exerting a substantial burden on the healthcare system. Despite being common, these infections are under-recognized. The July 2025 Infectious Diseases Society of America and concurrent O guidelines have redefined the classification of UTIs, emphasizing severity, resistance risk factors, and patient-specific considerations, allowing for more precise diagnosis and treatment selection. Join us on June 6th at 9 a.m. Central Time to learn more.
So yeah, next week's will be a full 1 hour episode because its contact hours are involved, but you get free contact hours, and who doesn't like free, right? So that's awesome. Gonna be next week. Next week, I personally pre-recorded it because I'll be hopping on a cruise ship, so wasn't going to be able to try to handle being on standing in line to get on the ship and try to be on the show at the same time. So I figured better to pre-record it. So anyway,
what a great thing though, earning those contact hours. It's so easy for people to do and stuff. It's just, it's a really great service you've done, Vic. And honestly, I know you're thanking us and all this, but seriously, thank you for pioneering and engineering this whole thing. Yeah. You really are the wizard behind the curtain that does it all. And you're for real a wizard with it. So thank you.
Yeah. Congrats.
Mm-hmm.
I just put up a congratulations. I just saw Katie, one of our fans that have been involved. Katie was part of the brains behind it all when we were talking about starting all this 4 years ago. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, all I can say is thanks for joining me. It was fun to celebrate and look back at 200 episodes, and I look forward to the next 200 episodes. And who knows how long this will go on. But as long as people are still willing to be on the show and you, the viewers, are still wanting to see it, hey, I'll be around.
Wow. It's awesome, Vic. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you. And we'll see everybody next week on UroNurse. Well, you'll see me, but I'll be actually on a cruise ship with my 8 grandkids going on a Disney cruise. So looking forward to that.
Have fun.
Oh, that's so
all
fun.
right.